We are on record. My name is Alan Hernandez. I'm a notary public contracted by Park Avenue Deposition Services. I'm not financially interested in this action, or I'm a relative or employee of any of the attorneys or any of the parties. Today's date is October 31st, 2017. The time on the monitor is 9:06 a.m. This video deposition is taking place at 99 East C Street, Suite 111, Upland, California 91786. The case name is Spotlight on Coastal Corruption et al. Versus Steve Kinsley, Eric Howell, Martha McClure et al. Filed in the Superior Court of the State of California for the County of San Diego, Hall of Justice. Case number is 37-2016-00028 494-CU-MC-CTL. This is Volume 1 in the video deposition of Mark Vargas. This deposition is taken by plaintiff's attorney Corey J. Briggs. Would all the attorneys introduce themselves and state who they represent for the record, please?
Corey Briggs for plaintiff.
Joel Jacobs for the defendants, including the witness Mark Vargas.
Thank you. The court reporter today is Bree Ryan with Park Avenue Deposition Services. Will the reporter please swear in the witness and we can begin?
Please raise your hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in these proceedings will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Good morning, sir. Would you please state and spell your name for the record?
Mark Vargas, M-A-R-K-V-A-R-G-A-S.
Where do you live?
I live in Los Angeles.
The address?
630 West 6th Street, apartment number 309, Los Angeles, California, 90017.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes.
When?
It's actually tricky. 1995 with an AS degree, but it was a 5-year school, so it included the
Sort of combined high school and junior college?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Have you ever had your deposition taken before?
Never.
And let me go over a few guidelines to help today go as efficiently as possible. We're also under some heightened pressure because the 6th game of the World Series starts at 5 o'clock, and I'm going to guess that there's more than one person in this room who would like to see the first pitch.
You were accurate.
And since we're in Southern California, we have a team to root for. Joel, you'll just have to be a Dodger fan for today.
I can do that.
Okay. Anyways, so even though we're in an informal setting, you've taken an oath to tell the truth as if you were in a court of law in front of a judge and a jury. I'm going to ask you a series of questions today. You will provide answers. Your attorney may object at times. Let him go ahead and make his objection. When he's done, you can answer the question unless he gives you an instruction not to answer, at which point I'll ask you whether you're going to take his advice or give your answer anyways. It's very important that we not talk over each other today. The court reporter can only take down what one person at a time is saying, and in order to have a clean transcript, we have to avoid doing some things that we would normally do in informal conversation. Another thing that we might do in informal conversation is sort of nod our head or go or grunts and groans, shrugs of the shoulders, things like that. The court reporter can't interpret those gestures, so she needs verbal responses. If I ask you today, if you give me a response and you shrug or grunt or groan, and I say, is that a yes or is that a no? I don't mean to be picking on you. I am trying to make sure we have a clean copy for the court reporter and for your benefit when we're done, because when it's all over, she's going to type everything up into a booklet. You'll have an opportunity to review it, make any corrections to it. Do keep in mind that if you make a substantive correction, any correction for that matter, I could comment on that in front of the judge or a jury, and that could affect your credibility later on. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Today is not meant to be a marathon. If you at any point need to take a break to get some fresh air, refill your coffee, talk to your lawyer, restroom, whatever it is, let me know. The only thing I ask is that you finish the question that's on the table so that we have a clean record, and then you need to take a break. We'll be happy to take a break. And make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. During the deposition, I may ask you some questions that require you to give me an estimate of duration, number, time, place, things of that sort. I don't want you to guess at anything today. If you don't know something, you say you don't know. But if you can give me your best estimate, I'm entitled to that. And the example that I give to witnesses for the difference between an estimate and a guess is if I say, how long is the table we're sitting at right now? You're going to look at it, and based on your schooling and life experience, you'll say, it's probably in the 7 to 8 foot range. And if I say, how long is my dining room table, you'd say, I haven't the foggiest idea, I've never seen it. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes, it does.
Okay, good. Okay. What was the high school / junior college that you graduated from?
Don Bosco Technical Institute,
And where's that located?
Rosemead, California.
Okay. Did you attend any college after that?
Yes.
Where?
University of Southern California.
And did you graduate from USC?
Yes.
And when did you graduate?
1997.
And what degree did you graduate with?
A Bachelor of Arts in Political Science and International Relations.
Okay. Did you attend any graduate school?
Yes.
What graduate school?
UC San Diego.
Okay. And did you get a degree there?
No.
Okay. What did you study?
Latin American Studies.
Okay. Any professional school or degrees?
No.
Okay. So your graduate work at UCSD is the extent, that was the end of your academic experience?
Yes.
Okay. Do you hold any professional licenses or certificates?
I am a LEED accredited professional, so LEED is a...
That's LEED, right?
Correct.
The Green Building Council?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you an architect?
I am not.
Okay. But you have the certificate as somebody who's authorized to review plans and help them score their proposals?
The certificate helps advise clients in green building practices and helps them achieve a green building certification.
Okay. Are you currently employed?
No.
When's the last time you held a job?
I'm trying to think. Last year?
Okay. What was that job?
Well, I was self-employed, my own corporation.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did that corporation do?
We are a management consulting firm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what sort of management consulting do you do?
Yeah. So we oversee. So I have a project management firm. So the last work I was doing was related to. I'm trying to think. I don't mean to be vague. I just can't remember.
Is it land use and development project management, or what sort of projects?
Not really. I've been working much more on kind of entrepreneurial projects. So I oversaw and advised export-import business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you said that you haven't worked since last year. Since last year, have you been doing this management consulting that you described, or did that stop last year?
As far as employment, yeah, I stopped being employed by it. I mean, I still own the company, but I'm not under its employ.
And how long were you actively working in that business for yourself?
I think somewhere around 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever held any elected public office?
No.
Okay. Have you ever held an appointed public office?
You mean such as an appointee to the Coastal Commission?
That would be one
Yes.
example, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Other than the Coastal Commission, have you ever held a public office?
Yes, I have.
Okay, let's start with non-coastal commission. What was your first public office?
Oh my gosh. I'm not sure if it counts, but I was a political appointee to Governor Gray Davis,
Okay.
serving in his administration
And, okay,
in 1999.
what did you do for Governor Davis?
I was an assistant to him and to his chief of staff.
Okay. So you worked in the not at the Capitol, but in the governor's?
Yeah, in
building.
the Horseshoe. Yeah.
Okay. How long did you do that?
Sorry. Can I
I'm
have
sorry.
you speak
I'm
up
sorry.
for me,
Yep,
please?
sure.
Thank you.
I worked in the Horseshoe. Yes,
In the
in
Horseshoe.
the Capitol.
Okay. And after working for Governor Davis, did you hold any public offices?
Yes. I've held several, so that's why I'm having a little bit of a tough time recollecting. So I served on the Scholar Share Investment Board for the state of California.
Okay.
I served on the Little Hoover Commission.
Okay.
I have served on the City of Los Angeles Rent Adjustment Commission.
Okay.
I have served on the Los Angeles Unified School District Personnel Commission, of which I currently serve on.
Okay.
And I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the Coastal Commission, right?
And the Coastal Commission.
How long have you been on the How long have you been a Coastal Commissioner?
I believe since May of 2013.
When are you still a Coastal Commissioner?
I still am.
Okay, and so you've served continuously since May of 2013?
Yes.
Okay. As a Coastal Commissioner, how do you receive your agenda packet prior to meetings?
How do I receive my agenda packet? I view them through the website.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other defendants who've testified so far have said they go to the Coastal Commission's website, download the materials there.
That's correct.
That they might get some alert from some administrative staff that says materials are available, but their practice was to go to the website. Is that your practice too?
Yes.
Okay. And so do you have an understanding that the materials that are available on the Coastal Commission's agenda website for a given meeting have hyperlinks where you click on the link
Yes, I am.
and then documents download?
Yes.
Please wait for him to finish his question before you answer it.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. And do you have an understanding that those documents constitute the official record for the matter to which they pertain on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. And have you ever made your decisions based on information that was not contained in the official record for an item on the agenda? I'm gonna hold that question because I need to fill it in and make it better. So before the meeting, you understand the official record is whatever is hyperlinked on the agenda website, correct?
I'm going to object that the term official record calls for a legal conclusion, but if you're able to answer the question, go ahead.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. It's your understanding that the official record before the meeting is the set of materials that's hyperlinked for each agenda item on the Commission's agenda website, correct?
It's my understanding that the materials that staff prepared for us are what's available on the record. Yes.
You're not aware of there being any other information other than what is put on the website that you and the public get to see, correct?
That is what staff prepares for us, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not aware of any other information as a general practice before the meeting that is part of any record for the projects, correct?
And I'm going to object the term record is vague in that context.
I mean, in terms of information presented by staff for us, I'm not aware of any other information that's presented to us by our staff.
You don't go to a Coastal Commission office and rummage through files looking for materials other than what's on the website, do you?
I do not do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you don't email staffers and ask them for materials that are not on the website, do you?
Not to my recollection.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever done that.
Okay. So you rely on what is hyperlinked on the commission's agenda website, correct?
I do rely on that.
Okay. So we have the materials that are hyperlinked,
Mhm.
and then at the meeting, generally speaking, there will be a staff presentation, there will be comments from the public, and then there will be deliberations by the commissioners, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And during staff presentation or public comments, people sometimes will also submit written materials, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when I ask you about the official record, I'm talking about, when I ask you about the official record at the time you make a decision, generally, I'm not asking about any particular decision, but generally at the time you make your decision, is your decision always based on the materials that were available in the hyperlink on the website, plus the oral comments made at the hearing, plus any written materials submitted at the hearing? Is that what your decisions are generally based on?
Objection compound and unintelligible, but if you are able to answer, go ahead.
Okay. I'm still not clear on the official record part.
Sure.
But yeah.
Let's get some clarity.
Okay.
Have you ever, as a commissioner, been told that there are materials pertaining to a project that's
Mhm.
before you
Mhm.
for a decision that were not included in the hyperlinked materials?
One more time. I'm sorry.
Can you read him the question, please?
For a decision that were not included in the hyperlinked materials. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to go back.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Have you ever, as a commissioner, been told that there are materials pertaining to a project that's before you for a decision that were not included in the hyperlinked materials?
Objection vague as to who, when, it's vague as to time.
Yeah.
You're asking whether anybody has ever told him at any time that there were materials other than what was in the hyperlink?
Do you have any reason to believe that there are materials pertaining to a project that haven't been provided to you through the hyperlink or at the meetings?
That is the main vehicle through which staff provides us that information. So from when it's coming from staff, that I believe that to be the generally all of the information that
Okay,
is being collected by staff.
So for any given item of business before you as a commissioner, are you aware of any sources of information other than the materials on the agenda and the information that comes out at the meeting?
Am I aware of them? No. I mean, maybe there may be some out there. I just don't know of them. What I find through the hyperlink is what our staff has collected for us for that agenda item.
And are you aware of the public having access to any materials that aren't on the hyperlink? In other words, are you aware of the public having greater access to information than you have?
And objection that information is ambiguous in this
Yeah, I
matter.
mean, you're asking if there might be a piece of evidence that exists out there that I don't know of and that somebody in the public might know. I mean, that's possible.
That's
possible.
not, and I'm
Yeah.
starting to worry that we're
Yeah.
going to miss the Dodger game. You know what information means? Do you know
I
what
do.
that word means?
Sure.
Okay, good. Because your lawyer seems to think you don't. As a general practice, I'm not talking about any particular decision. I'm talking about as a general matter,
Mhm.
are you aware of there being sources of information about an item that's on the Coastal Commission's agenda that is somewhere other than in the hyperlink on the agenda website or presented during the public meeting? That's all I want to know.
No, I am not aware.
Okay.
I apologize.
Objection that
Yep.
question is vague, but if you understand it and can answer it, that's
Well,
fine.
and I say I'm not aware because if it's related to items on the agenda, that staff has collected, then no, I'm not aware of any other source of information that staff has prepared this.
And I'm only talking about
Okay.
agenda items. For something that is agendized,
Yeah.
that appears on the Coastal Commission's website for the upcoming meeting, the sources of information for you and the public are the materials that are hyperlinked and the information that comes out during the hearing. Isn't that correct?
And check, that's vague. I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you asking whether the public can Google about a project?
You're not being deposed. Do you understand the question?
I think I do, but if it's information that staff has gathered for us, then yes, that's where I find my source of information, is through the website.
Okay. And what's presented at the meetings, correct?
Sure. Yes.
Okay. So let's just reverse engineer this. Pick any decision you've made as a coastal commissioner.
Mhm.
Did you ever make the decision based on information that didn't come out at a meeting and wasn't on the agenda website for the whole world to see?
Not that I recall. No.
Okay, good. So, are there any other sources of information other than what is posted on the agenda website or that come out at meetings that you're aware of on any given item that you might be asked to vote on as a coastal commissioner?
Not
Sort
that.
objection, sources of information is vague and ambiguous.
Do you know what you still know what the word information means, right?
Yes.
And do you know what the word source means?
Yes.
Okay, and you know what the preposition of means?
Yes.
Okay. So when I say source of information, are you confused in any way?
No.
Okay. So prior to a meeting, before any testimony on a particular item is begun,
Mhm.
the way you obtain information is you go to the Coastal Commission's website and click on the hyperlinks, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever asked a commission staff member for a copy of the official record for a project?
I don't recall ever asking for those specific terms. I don't even know. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Is it safe to say that your assumption all along has been that all the materials that you need to know about are posted on the commission's website?
Yes.
Okay. And that has been your practice since the first day you've been on the commission, correct?
Yes.
And it hasn't changed through today, has it?
No.
Okay. Now, sometimes the Coastal Commission's agenda website will be updated with supplemental materials the day before a meeting or a couple days before a meeting. Do you have that general understanding?
I do.
Has it been your experience that that is the case?
It has been.
Okay. Do you go to the website to get the latest available information shortly before the meeting so that you can make sure you have supplemental materials as well? Or do you only look at it when the first tranche of information is hyperlinked on the website?
Compound?
I have my laptop in front of me during meetings, and generally, it's maybe a little too much to say I do it all the time, but generally I have the link, I refresh the link and open the link up during the hearing. So
Okay. And even before the hearings, right, a day before a hearing, sometimes there are updates, correct, on of the website?
yes,
And before the hearing starts, you also consult the website to make sure that you have the latest and greatest information, correct?
yes.
Okay.
In general, maybe not every single item, but yes,
I
generally
mean, that's your
speaking,
general
yes.
practice,
Mhm.
correct?
Mhm. Yes.
Okay. And as a coastal commissioner, do you have the understanding that once the meeting's over, the official record for that particular item would be supplemented to include a transcript of what was said during the meeting?
I'll object that the term official record calls for a legal conclusion. Go ahead.
So I don't really have an understanding of how that works afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know how it works up until the decision, but you're not sure how it works after the decision.
In terms of how things are written up and transcribed, I'm not involved in that. So
Okay.
I just don't know.
Okay. Have you ever heard the phrase exhaustion of remedies?
I have heard that phrase.
Do you have an understanding of what it means?
I mean, not really. Honestly, I've seen it in relation to, I think this case in the news, but I don't really have a firm understanding of what it means.
Do you have an understanding that before a member of the public could sue the Coastal Commission if there were a disagreement over a decision, that the member of the public or somebody else first had to tell the commission that there was a problem with the decision? Do you have that general understanding?
Calls for a legal conclusion.
I don't know one way or another. I really haven't. I don't have that understanding.
Do you have any idea why people come to Coastal Commission meetings and express their views against projects sometimes?
Calls for speculation.
I would assume that they come because they, because they have a point of view that they want to get across one way or another on some item.
Has anyone ever told you that before a member of the public may sue to challenge a commission decision, that the issue that the lawsuit is based on must have been brought to the attention of the commission before the decision is made?
I'll instruct the witness not to answer as to any attorney-client communications, but if somebody's told you that outside of an attorney-client communication, you may talk about it.
I apologize. Could you
She's
say it
gonna
one more
read you-
time?
She's going to read you the question.
Has there been, before a member of a public may sue to challenge a commission decision, that the issue that the...
I don't think that's how the question started.
Yeah, I apologize. It didn't translate. I'm trying to... I have the tail end of the question. I apologize.
That's okay. We'll try to do it then.
I apologize.
Has anyone ever told you
Mm-hmm.
that before a lawsuit challenging a commission decision can be filed, that the issue being litigated in the lawsuit must have been identified to the commission before the decision is made? You ever heard anybody tell you something like that?
Again, don't talk about conversations or communications with lawyers, but if anybody else told you that, you can talk about it.
So outside of privileged communications, I don't remember ever having a conversation like that.
Do you have an understanding that before somebody can sue over a commission decision on a development matter,
Mm-hmm.
that the issue that is being sued over must have been disclosed to the commission before the lawsuit is filed?
Asked and answered.
Actually, it hasn't been, but you can answer.
I mean, do I have an understanding? Is that what you're asking? I really don't have an understanding one way or another on that.
Okay.
I haven't really thought of it or...
Did you know that you are asserting an exhaustion of remedies defense in this lawsuit?
I know that is part of the case, yes.
Okay. And was that your idea?
Well, I don't think you can answer that question
What?
without getting into attorney-client
Yeah.
communication, so I'm going
I
to instruct you
didn't-
not to answer.
Did my client fail to exhaust its remedies?
And that question calls for the application of law to facts, so I'll instruct you not to answer on that
Well, that-
basis.
You can't instruct on a legal conclusion objection, Joel. He can answer to the extent he knows.
You are instructed not to answer the question.
I'm going to follow the advice of my attorney.
So, what Do you understand that you're being sued for not making proper ex parte disclosures in this case?
I do understand that.
Okay. So what would you have expected my clients to do in order to properly exhaust their administrative remedies in this case?
You're instructed not to answer the question.
It was your defense. You understand that, right?
I'm going to follow the advice of my client.
Okay, so you're
I'm sorry, my attorney.
So you're not going to tell me what you would have expected of my client in order to exhaust its administrative remedies before suing you in this case?
He's instructed not to answer the question, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Is it your expectation that when the public comes to testify at a Coastal Commission meeting that they will give you all of their reasons for opposing a particular action?
All members of the public? I mean, who are we talking about here?
Well, if he doesn't understand, he can ask. If you're going to make an objection, assert it.
The objection is that the question is vague and ambiguous, particularly the term the public.
Okay. Do you know what the word the public means?
I do.
Do you know what the word the public means when I'm talking about a Coastal Commission meeting?
I think so.
Okay, good. Can you now answer my question?
I can, but I understand where he's coming from. But when somebody comes to speak in front of us, I don't have an expectation. I expect that they're going to tell me what they want to tell me about a particular agenda item.
If the public has a concern about a project, would you expect them to voice that concern to you?
Calls for speculation.
Let me rephrase it. As a Coastal Commissioner, do you want members of the public to tell you the concerns that they have about the projects that come before you?
I would expect that, I would assume that if somebody's coming to the public meeting to provide public comment, that they are going to express their opinion one way or another on a project.
I'm going to move to strike as non-responsive. Do you have an expectation that people who disagree with a proposal will come to the meetings and tell you their reasons for disagreeing?
Yes, plenty of people do, so.
I want to know whether that's your expectation. As a member of the Coastal Commission, do you expect concerned citizens to tell you what their concerns are before you vote?
Do I expect it?
Again, it's vague and ambiguous.
Yeah.
Are you talking about all concerned citizens? Some? I don't understand the question, but if you do, go ahead.
I mean, that's where I'm struggling, is if somebody is coming to the meeting and they're going to speak on public comment, then yes, I would expect them to tell me. But does that mean everybody that has a concern or an opinion on a project is going to come to a meeting?
That's not what I asked you.
You're saying the public.
Well, is it safe for me to assume that you would not be happy if somebody criticized you over your vote, but they didn't come to the meeting and tell you why the vote was a bad idea?
Calls for speculation.
Would that be unfair criticism in your mind?
No. I mean, it happens all the time. People criticize our votes and don't show up to meetings. So.
Well, do you think that it's fair for people to tell you? Do you think it's fair for people to criticize you for the way you vote when they didn't give you an opportunity to vote the right way?
Calls for speculation. It's an incomplete hypothetical.
You can answer.
I don't understand that question. You say, didn't give me the opportunity to vote the right way.
Well, look, what's your favorite environmental organization?
So many. NRDC.
Okay. If NRDC were to do a report card on the Coastal Commission and they gave you an F, but NRDC never came to a single Coastal Commission meeting to tell you the things that they thought you were doing wrong, would you think the report card was fair?
Calls for speculation.
You can answer.
No. I would not think it's, I don't think it's fair or unfair. It's their opinion.
Well, would you prefer that NRDC come to the meetings and tell you why they don't like a project before they give you negative criticism over it?
Sure, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it is your preference that anyone who's going to disagree with you at least come to the meeting and tell you why they disagree?
Yeah, generally speaking, I think, yeah, sure, that's fair.
Okay. If you knew that there were something bad about a project that you were going to vote on as a commissioner, but that bad aspect wasn't disclosed in the materials on the website, and it wasn't disclosed by the staff during its presentation, and it didn't come up from any member of the public who testified, would you expect the public to nevertheless have been able to tell you about that project if they never knew?
Calls for speculation. It's an incomplete hypothetical.
And you can answer.
Would I expect the public to have told me ahead of time
Yeah, would you expect the public to call your attention to a problem they didn't know about?
No.
Okay. Was that a no question mark or no period?
It was a no question mark, but I'll reaffirm. I do not expect wouldn't expect the public to give me information on something that they didn't know about.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a coastal commissioner, do you have an understanding of the phrase ex parte communication?
Yes.
What does the phrase ex parte communication mean to you?
My understanding of ex parte communication is that it is any type of communication that I have with somebody over a project that has an application before us that transpires outside of the public hearing.
Okay. So you understand an ex parte communication to be a communication between you and somebody else outside of a public hearing concerning an item that's on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. And as a coastal commissioner, do you have an understanding of the rules that, well, first of all, do you understand that there are rules that require the disclosure of ex parte communications?
Yes.
Do you have an understanding of what those rules are?
Yes, generally.
What are the rules as you understand them with regard to ex parte communications that occur more than 7 days before a coastal commission meeting?
I am required to document that and fill out a ex parte form that details the nature of the conversation and who that conversation was with and the time and place, and to submit it to our staff.
Okay. And do you have an understanding of when you're supposed to submit that disclosure to the staff?
Yes, you are supposed to submit it 7 days, within 7 days of the communication. Hold on a second, let me think about this. I apologize. Yes, within 7 days of having had that ex parte, you are supposed to submit it to the record.
So if 10 days before a coastal commission meeting, you have an ex parte concerning an item on the agenda for that meeting, you can submit the written disclosure 3 days before the meeting?
I think so. I think the answer, yeah. I think so.
Okay.
I think the rule is that it's within 7 days of a meeting, you are to answer on the microphone and give a verbal report of your ex parte.
Okay. So you just answered what was going to be my next question,
Okay.
actually. If the ex parte communication is 7 days or less before the committee meeting, what are your ex parte disclosure obligations?
As I said, I think you are supposed to give a report of that on the microphone during the time of the hearing.
Okay.
I'm going to need a bathroom break in a couple minutes, but just putting you on notice.
Raise the white flag when you're ready for it.
The coffee's kicking in.
Okay. Do you have an understanding that as a coastal commissioner, you're not allowed to participate even in the deliberations of an item if you haven't made your ex parte disclosure?
I think so. I actually don't recall.
So you don't know whether you're allowed to be present on the dais for an item on which you've had an ex parte communication if you haven't disclosed the communication?
I just know that I'm supposed to submit them when, under the required rules, and I do, so.
But you don't know whether there's a law that prohibits you from participating in a vote if you haven't disclosed the communication, do you?
It makes sense, yeah. Yes, I assume that would be the case.
I don't want you to assume. Either you know or you don't know.
I'm not sure.
Okay. As a coastal commissioner, did you ever receive any training on the ex parte requirements?
So there's attorney.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't testify about attorney-client communications that may have constituted training, but if you can answer the question without going into attorney-client communications, you may do so.
Outside of attorney-client communications, no.
Okay.
Not that I recall.
Okay. Have you ever fallen asleep on the dais at a coastal commission meeting?
Not that I recall.
You ever been drunk on the dais at a coastal commission meeting?
No.
You ever been medicated on the dais at a coastal commission meeting?
Maybe with some ibuprofen, but...
Okay. Have you ever been under the influence of any substance that would affect your ability to know that you were at a coastal commission meeting while you were on the dais at a coastal commission meeting?
No.
Okay. You always pay attention to coastal commission meetings?
I try to, yes.
Okay. Have you ever daydreamed and stopped paying attention to what was being discussed at a coastal commission meeting?
Over the course of, how long has it been? 4 years? 4.5 years? It's possible that, when you have a 12-hour-long meeting, that my mind might wander for 30 seconds or so. So, I mean, maybe.
Have you missed any coastal commission meetings?
Yes.
Which ones?
I don't recall. I don't participate in every single coastal commission meeting.
Okay. How many have you missed since you were appointed?
I couldn't give you a firm number.
Give me an approximate number.
Maybe 3 to 4 a year.
Okay.
And when I say that, I mean individual meeting days. Right?
Yeah, not necessarily the entire monthly meeting.
Exactly.
Usually meetings are over a 3 or 4 day period during a week, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'm going to take a break if that's
Sure.
okay.
Let's go off the record.
We're off the record. The time is 9:50 a.m.
Only so much my bladder can take.
No, it's no problem. I'm just going to make a note on the record of what's happened, and
Sure.
I've asked the court reporter service that if we don't get a court reporter back here, we're going to at least have them transcribe the video. You prefer a transcript too, yes?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think
okay.
a transcript is.
And-
And plus, I'm not planning to order the video, so.
Yeah,
Uh,
all the more important. And so you keep a copy of these since they're not going to go to
Okay.
court reporter today, but we will give the set to the transcription people
Okay.
so they can put it in the transcript. And it will be a transcribed copy that the witness gets to review, okay? We're going to do it as if there were a
Okay.
depo. Is that
That sounds okay. Yeah.
okay?
We're back on record. The time is 10:28 a.m.
Okay. Mr. Vargas, we took a little bit of an extended break because we lost our court reporter. She got sick. And so rather than wait for a replacement, your counsel and I have agreed, since we have this on video, we're going to continue with the video. And then we will get a court reporter to transcribe the video later on, okay? So
Okay.
I appreciate your patience during that break. The Halloween curse, as you say. Anyways, so let's talk about ex parte disclosures again. So were you aware that disclosure of an ex parte communication had to be made in writing not more than 7 days later if the next commission meeting on the subject matter was more than 7 days away?
That is my understanding.
Okay. Was it also your understanding that disclosure of the ex parte communication had to be made orally on the record at the next commission meeting if it occurred within 7 days after the communication?
Yes.
Okay. Was it your understanding that the ex parte rules required a full, complete, comprehensive disclosure of the ex parte communication?
Yes.
Okay. Was it your understanding that the ex parte rules required the disclosure of any written materials that were reviewed or shared during the ex parte communication?
Yes.
Okay. Was it your understanding, or has it been your understanding as a coastal commissioner, that the responsibility for complying with the ex parte rules, including making the required disclosures, fell on your shoulders?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have an understanding, or do you have an understanding of the rationale behind the ex parte disclosure rules?
Yes. in
What's your
general.
understanding?
My understanding is it's to capture any information that I, as a commissioner, may receive that is not properly documented through other channels, so that there can be a full disclosure and understanding of the public of information that I've received.
It's your understanding that the ex parte rules are intended to make sure that members of the public who are not present for the ex parte communications have the same information that was shared during the communications?
That's my understanding.
Okay. As a coastal commissioner, what has been your practice for submitting your written ex parte disclosures?
I email them to staff.
Okay. To whom do you email them?
I email them to Vanessa Miller on our staff and Jeff Stabin.
Would those be separate emails or the same email to both of them?
I send them to both. My prior practice was to send to both of them. As of around a year or so ago, I began sending to the executive staff email, executive staff at whatever the coastal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you submit the written disclosures yourself, or did you have someone do it for you?
I think that I submitted via email myself my ex partes.
And has that been your practice the entire time you've been a coastal commissioner?
I believe so.
Okay. And you submit them by email, correct?
In general, yes.
Did you ever use snail mail? U.S. Postal Service?
Maybe. I don't recall.
Okay. Your normal practice is email, though, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. You didn't use FedEx or another overnight courier, did you?
I don't recall ever doing that, no.
Did you ever fax in your written disclosures?
I don't recall.
Okay.
No.
Did you ever take your written disclosures in person to a Coastal Commission office?
No.
Okay. Did you ever take your written disclosures in person to a Coastal Commission meeting and submit them at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. So is it fair to say that your practice as a Coastal Commissioner has been to submit written disclosures either via email or in person at the meetings?
That is correct.
Okay. When you email your disclosures, did you ever get a read receipt or a delivery receipt from your email?
What is like a red receipt?
Sometimes you can ask when you send an email that you get an automatic response when the recipient reads it.
I don't have that function, or I may have that function, but I've never used it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would send your email, but you didn't get any receipt or any acknowledgement of receipt in response. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct.
Okay. So how would you know that your email was received?
I have. There are some emails where I would receive a email back from staff saying that they received it.
Okay. Did you always get an email back from staff saying it was received?
No.
Okay. How often, what percentage of the time did you get a response back indicating that the message was received?
Percentage-wise, I don't know. But maybe the best way to say is irregularly.
Okay. Is your practice today to obtain some sort of written confirmation that your disclosure submittal was received by the Commission?
No.
Okay. If you received a written confirmation from the Commission for your written disclosures, did you keep it? By that I mean an email receipt.
To the extent that I didn't regularly delete that, like my emails, and yeah, I mean, I have the emails that I have on file, sure.
In whose file?
I mean, the emails that I have in my inbox, sure.
Okay. Did you ever think at any point in time while you've been a commissioner that you should get some sort of written confirmation that you turned in your written ex parte disclosures?
No, quite frankly, I emailed and no.
Okay. So for any of your ex parte disclosures since you've been a Coastal Commissioner, do you have any written receipts or other documentation showing when you submitted the disclosure to the Commission?
I have the email.
Okay. The emails are on your computer server right now?
For the ones that are on there, yeah, I have that, but I don't have all of them. Up until 2014, I have. So from 2014 on, I have.
Okay. You haven't deleted any of your commission-related emails since 2014, correct?
I don't think so. But I'm not sure.
Okay. Other than in your email inbox, is there anywhere else you could look for written receipts or other documentation showing that you submitted a particular written ex parte disclosure to the Commission?
I don't think so.
So if a member of the public wanted to find your ex parte disclosures that were submitted before a hearing, they would go to the agenda website and click on the hyperlinks with the materials. Is that correct?
Calls for speculation.
You can answer.
I would assume that's how they would find the ex partes that are on file.
You don't have, I don't want you to make an assumption, you don't have any knowledge of how a member of the public would get a copy of one of your written ex parte disclosures?
It's my understanding that staff places those on file through, and they can be viewed through the website.
Right, that your understanding is that when you submit your written disclosures, staff within a reasonable period of time puts them with the materials that are hyperlinked on the agenda website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of staff ever failing to make your written disclosures available at a hyperlink on the agenda website?
Not that I recall. I've never seen it come up, but that doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
But you're not aware of it happening, correct?
I'm not aware.
Okay. How many email accounts have you had since you became a coastal commissioner?
At least 3.
And what accounts were they?
There is my Coastal Commission account.
Okay, what's that email address?
Oh gosh, I'm not even certain. I think it's mark.vargas at coastal.ca.gov.
Okay.
There's my current email address.
Which is?
Mark, what is it? Mark at mark-vargas.com.
Okay, and what's the third?
My previous address, which was mvargas at miconstruct.com.
Okay. When's the last time you used your coastal.ca.gov email account?
The Coastal account is active. I have those emails automatically forwarded over to my main account, mark at mark-vargas.com.
Okay. When do you ever send emails using your coastal.ca.gov account?
I don't recall using it to send emails.
Okay. In order to submit your written ex parte disclosures via email, which of these 3 accounts did you use?
I use the main account, mark at mark-vargas.com, but that account, I began that email address account in 2014, around that time at the beginning, and prior to that, I used the miconstruct.com.
Okay. Did anyone other than you have access to any of those 3 accounts for purposes of reading email messages?
I don't think so.
Did anyone other than you have access to those accounts for purposes of sending email messages?
I don't think so.
Did anyone other than you have access to any of those accounts for purposes of deleting email messages?
I don't think so.
Have you deleted any email messages in any of those accounts that pertain to ex parte communications?
It's possible. I don't have records from the miconstruct.com prior to more or less the beginning of 2014.
Okay. How about in the Mark-Vargas account? Have you deleted any emails concerning ex parte communications there?
Not that I recall.
Okay. Since this lawsuit was filed in August of 2016, have you searched all of your email accounts in order to find all the ex parte disclosures that you emailed to the commission?
Yes.
Okay. Did you find any emails?
Yes.
What did you do with those emails?
I printed them.
And then what did you do?
I brought them.
You have those with you today?
I do.
Fantastic. Let's take a look at those.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm going to show you an exhibit. We've marked letter A. It is the notice for today's deposition, with the exception that in the caption on the front page, the date and location. Sorry, the date has been changed. Last night we also changed the location, as you know. But otherwise, this is the deposition notice for today's deposition. Have you seen Exhibit A before today?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Did you read it when you got it?
I did.
Okay. And since we don't have a court reporter here, for the record, Exhibit A says second amended notice of deposition of Mark Vargas. Are the documents that you just provided me the documents that are responsive to the deposition notice?
With the caveat that we submitted a, I forgot the legal filing, the objection filing.
We'll get to that in a
Yeah.
sec. I just want to make sure that what you handed me in the green folder is what you're producing in response to the deposition notice.
Yes.
Okay. I'll show you an exhibit marked letter B.
Okay.
Exhibit B are objections to notice to Mark Vargas to produce documents, electronically stored information, and things at deposition. Do you recognize that deposition notice, sir?
Yes.
Did you mean deposition notice or objection?
Sorry. Do you recognize that objection, sir?
I do.
Are those the objections you were just talking about a moment ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to show you an exhibit marked with the letter C. Exhibit C is a deposition subpoena issued by my office on November 3, 2016 to the California Coastal Commission. Do you recognize Exhibit C, sir?
So, to be honest, no.
We all want to be honest.
Yeah, honesty is good.
Yes, that's the goal here today.
I mean, it's not to say that I didn't see it, but I
You
just,
don't recall seeing it?
I don't remember, no.
That's fine. I'm going to show you an exhibit marked with the letter D. Letter D is California Coastal Commission's objections to deposition subpoena. Have you ever seen Exhibit D before?
I honestly don't recall.
Okay. I'm going to show you an exhibit marked with the letter E. Exhibit E is a copy of the clerk certificate of mailing and electronic service in an Orange County Superior Court case called Friends of the Canyon versus California Coastal Commission, and attached to that clerk certificate is a 19-page minute order issued by Judge Kim G. Dunning, D-U-N-N-I-N-G. Have you ever seen that document before today, sir?
I don't recall.
Do you recall a lawsuit called Friends of the Canyon versus California Coastal Commission?
I do.
Are you aware that the Coastal Commission was sued in that lawsuit?
Yes.
Have you ever read the judge's ruling in that case?
I don't recall.
Okay. If you would take a look at page 8 of the judge's ruling, toward the bottom, the judge wrote, Commissioner Vargas verbally reported an ex parte on December 11, 2014, and stated, quote, I believe my ex parte is on file, end quote. You see that sentence?
I do.
Do you disagree factually with what the judge wrote in that sentence?
I don't recall.
Okay. The next sentence says, a dated and signed ex parte is in the administrative record, but it too lacks a Coastal Commission received stamp and was not in the Commission's file before the hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see that sentence?
I do.
Do you disagree with that sentence factually?
I mean, I don't disagree or agree. I just don't know. I don't recall.
Okay. The final sentence of that paragraph, the judge wrote, it is also incomplete, referring to your disclosure form. It is also incomplete and does include the referenced attachments. Do you see that?
I do.
Okay. Do you disagree factually with that sentence?
I don't recall that ex parte, so I couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
Did you ever have the opportunity to consider appealing this ruling?
I'm going to instruct the witness not to testify about any discussions that occurred with counsel in closed session, but if he can answer it without referring to attorney-client communications, he may.
Well, let me just clarify something. I'm not asking you to tell me what the lawyer said or what you said to the lawyers, but according to the Coastal Commission's agenda, this case was discussed in closed session at least 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound familiar to you? Going into closed session at least 10 times on this case?
So you're asking whether the closed sessions actually happened or it was listed on the agenda?
Yeah. Did you go into closed session at least 10 times on this case?
I don't recall, we just because
well, he's
we
asking you whether you did or didn't, and if you don't recall, that's
I
your
don't
answer.
recall.
Did you go into closed session ever on Friends of the Canyon case?
I think we did. Yes.
Did you ever go into closed session on the Friends of the Canyon case after September 22 of 2016?
So after this decision was made?
Correct.
I think we did.
On how many occasions?
I think at least one, but I don't remember. I don't recall.
Do you recall going into closed session on this case on November 2 of 2016?
No, I don't recall.
Do you recall going into closed session on this case on December 7 of 2016?
I don't recall.
Do you recall closed session on the case on January 11 of 2017?
I don't recall.
Do you recall a closed session on March 8th of 2017?
I do not recall.
Do you recall a closed session on this case for May 10th, 2017?
I do not recall.
Do you recall a closed session on that case for June 7, 2017?
I do not recall.
Do you recall a closed session on the case for August 9th of 2017?
I do not recall.
But you do recall some closed session after September 22 of 2016 on the Friends of the Canyon case, right?
I do.
Okay. Were you ever given the opportunity to consider appealing the case?
I instruct the witness not to answer about any discussions that occurred in closed session.
Yeah, I'm not asking you to tell me what the lawyer said. I want to know whether you ever... Well, let me just ask you this. Did you ever vote to appeal the decision?
And I'm going to instruct the witness not to testify about anything that happened in closed session.
Votes are reported out, counsel.
To the extent that you can answer if there was a vote that was reported out, But if there was any other deliberation that occurred in closed session, you should not testify about it.
I can't answer that question because it was part of a privilege that was held by the commission as a whole. So
Do
I
you
can't
know
talk about
whether
that.
the commission ever reported out of closed session on the issue of appealing or not appealing this decision?
I don't recall.
Let's turn to page 10 of that ruling. There's a big paragraph in the middle of page 10. And the judge wrote, "The most diligent individual combing through the commission's official file for the project before January 8, 2015 hearing, the January 8, 2015 hearing, would have seen that Commissioner Cox's disclosure form was unfiled but invalid. That same person would not have discovered that Commissioners Howell, Kinsey, McClure, Turnbull-Sanders, and Vargas had ex parte communications the month before the hearing." The sentence that I just read that begins with "that same person," do you disagree factually with that sentence?
Foundation calls for speculation.
Let me read it one more time. I don't have enough information. I mean,
Do you know whether your written ex parte disclosures were in the official record for the Friends of the Canyon project?
I don't recall.
Objection that official record calls for a legal conclusion and the question calls for speculation.
Well, what's the name of the file? What's the name that you use for the file containing all of the documents pertaining to a particular commission matter? What do you call it?
File?
Do you call it the official file, the round file, the funny file, the square file? What do you call it?
And I'll object that the question assumes that there is a single file for a project.
Well, that's not. You just said file, right?
I'm looking at page 8, the statement that you just read, where in quotes it says that I said, "I believe my ex parte is on file."
So what do you mean by the word file?
That we filed it with staff.
And what's your understanding of where staff puts it after they get it?
That they attach it to the agenda item and it goes up on the website.
Okay. There's nowhere else that staff would put it that you know, correct?
I've never asked. I don't know.
Have you ever asked a single question of Coastal Commission staff about how to make your ex parte disclosures?
And instruct you not to answer about legal staff, but you can answer as to non-legal staff.
Well, let's be clear. I don't want to know what you talk about with your lawyers privately. But if you've talked to a non-lawyer privately, or you've talked to a lawyer during a public meeting, that's all fair game. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever asked a single question of any non-lawyer commission staffer about how to comply with the ex parte rules?
I don't recall.
Okay. Have you ever asked anybody during a public Coastal Commission meeting how to comply with the ex parte rules?
Have I ever asked anybody during a Coastal Commission meeting?
Yes.
Non-lawyer.
On the
No,
mic.
I didn't
Oh,
say
on the
lawyer
mic.
or non-lawyer.
Okay.
And you're asking on the mic as opposed to while the Coastal Commission meeting was happening.
I want to. I'm trying to carve out privileges.
Right.
Right. If you and the lawyer are both in the boys' room and you have a chit chat while you're doing your business, I don't care about that.
Okay.
But if you're at a public
glad.
meeting, whether you're in the foyer talking to somebody or you're on the mic, I don't care.
Yeah.
So other than a lawyer,
Yeah.
at a Coastal Commission meeting, have you ever asked anybody how to comply with the ex parte rules?
I don't recall ever having done
Have
so.
you ever read the ex parte rules?
Yes.
On how many occasions?
That I don't recall.
When was the first time you read the ex parte rules?
It likely was when I entered the office, when I assumed the office.
Okay, and do you remember what it is you were reading at the time? For example, were you reading the Public Resources Code? Were you reading the internet? Were you reading a website from the Coastal Commission? What were you reading?
I think I was reading, and again, I apologize, I think I was reading the Coastal Act.
Okay. And when's the last time you read the ex parte rules?
That I don't recall.
How many times have you read the ex parte rules?
I also don't recall.
Okay, so let's go back to page 10 of the Friends of the Canyon ruling. At the bottom of that paragraph on page 10, the big paragraph, the judge wrote, Commissioners Kinsey, McClure, Turnbull-Sanders, and Vargas did speak up at the hearing, but the oral disclosures violated the statutory mandate for a timely written disclosure filed with the commission in advance of the hearing. Do you see that sentence?
I do.
Do you have any factual reason to disagree with it?
Hold on. Object the question is compound. The witness may answer as to his recollection about the first part of the question, whether he spoke up at the hearing, but as to whether the oral disclosures did or did not violate the statutory mandate, you should not answer.
You're directing me to not answer the question?
You should answer about whether you remember whether you spoke up at the hearing or not.
Okay. I don't remember. Well, no, I mean, I really don't remember.
Do you ever recall reading this page before today?
It's possible, but I'm not sure.
As a general matter, do you not read the final decisions in Coastal Commission lawsuits?
Yes.
You don't read the decisions normally, correct?
On a regular basis, no. Every single decision, no.
Have you read any Coastal Commission decision while you've been a commissioner?
I'm sure I have.
What's the last one you read?
I don't recall.
Name any one you've read.
I remember seeing this, but do I remember this page? I don't remember.
Well, did you read this decision before today?
I think I did, but I don't remember.
Okay. I'll show you an exhibit we've marked as letter F. Letter F is a letter that I wrote to you and the other defendants in this lawsuit on September 26 of 2016. Do you recall seeing that letter before today, sir?
In general, I remember.
Okay. Do you recall when you first saw this letter?
I don't recall, but I'm going to guess that it's...
Oh, he doesn't want you to guess.
Yeah.
So
I don't recall.
If you remember,
Yeah.
you should say what you remember. If you don't remember...
Yeah.
Did you see it sometime in the latter part of 2016?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you deleted any emails that pertain to the Coastal Commission since September 26 of 2016?
It's, as I mentioned, I have I switched from one email address to another, and the older email address was basically, a lot of those emails went away. So
What do you mean went away?
I got rid of that email account. I shut it down.
Yeah, but you did that in 2014, right?
Correct.
Well, so after
Or
September,
around that time. I
Okay.
don't remember exactly when.
Well, after September 26 of 2016, did you delete any emails
Oh.
pertaining to the Coastal Commission?
No.
Okay. The note just says we'll have a court reporter here at 12:30.
Okay, great.
I'm going to show you an exhibit we've marked with the letter G. G is my client's form interrogatories, set 1 to you. Do you recall ever seeing Exhibit G before today?
I do not.
I'll show you an exhibit we'll mark with the letter H. Exhibit H is defendant Mark Vargas's responses to plaintiff's form interrogatories, set 1. Do you recognize Exhibit H, sir?
Yes.
Take a look at the 5th page that says verification at the top. Do you recognize that signature?
I do.
Is that your signature?
Yes.
Did you read Exhibit H before you signed the verification page?
If this is what, yes, if this is what my attorney and I worked on, yes, I did read it.
Is everything in Exhibit H true and correct?
I mean, I'm going to have to read it thoroughly here.
Yeah, what I want to know is whether you told me anything that's untrue in Exhibit H.
In what I sent to you, no.
So everything in Exhibit H is true and correct, right?
If this is the same document that we provided, then I would assume it would be.
Well, take a look at it and let me know whether you think it
Yes.
looks like it's not the document for which you signed the verification page.
What date was this sent? January 12th. Yes, okay.
Okay. So everything in Exhibit H is true and correct, right?
It would seem so, yes.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit I. Exhibit I is my client's requests for admission to Mark Vargas, set 1, concerning truth of facts. Sir, have you ever seen Exhibit I before today?
I don't recall.
Okay. I'm going to show you Exhibit J, which is defendant Mark Vargas's responsive to plaintiff's requests for admissions, set 1. You ever seen Exhibit J before today?
If this is the same document that my attorney worked on, then I do recall.
We'll take a look at it and tell me whether it looks familiar
It
to
looks
you.
very, yeah, it looks familiar.
Okay, take a look at the 6th page that says verification at the top. Tell me whether that's your signature.
It is.
Okay. Did you read Exhibit J before you signed the verification page?
I did read this before I signed it.
Okay, and quickly, going back to Exhibit H, which was your response to my client's form interrogatories, did you read Exhibit H before you signed its verification page?
If H and J are what we did submit, and it looks like they are, then yes, I did.
Okay. And is everything, going back to Exhibit J, is everything in Exhibit J true and correct?
It seems that way, yes.
There's nothing false in Exhibit J as far as you're concerned, is there?
I mean, not that I'm aware of. I could read this word for word, but if it's the same document that we submitted, then it should be the same. Yes, it should be all.
You didn't sign a verification page for a document that contained falsehoods, did you?
Not to my knowledge. no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll show you an exhibit we'll mark as letter K. K is my client's special interrogatory set 1 to Mark Vargas. Do you recognize Exhibit K?
I don't remember.
Okay. I'm going to show you an exhibit marked with the letter L. Exhibit L is defendant Mark Vargas's responses to plaintiff's special interrogatories, set 1. Do you recognize that document, sir?
I don't recall.
Take a look at the 7th page, which says verification at the top.
Yes,
Is that your signature on the verification page?
it appears to be, yes.
Did you read Exhibit L before you signed the verification page?
If I sign for it, then yes, I must have, in
Well,
all
you-
likelihood. I just don't remember.
That's your signature.
Yes.
Did you? But you don't recall whether you read this document before you signed the verification page?
I don't recall this document, period.
Okay. So if you don't recall the document, that means you don't recall reading it, correct?
Yeah, but yes.
Okay. Looking at Exhibit L, is everything that you wrote in response true and correct?
Yeah, it appears to be yes.
Okay. You stopped using your miconstruct.com email account in early 2014, is that right?
Around that time, yes.
Okay. So now let's take a look at page 2 of Exhibit L.
Mhm.
The first interrogatory asked you to identify each and every email address that you used to transmit any messages concerning Coastal Commission business since August 17, 2013. But your answer doesn't make reference to the miconstruct email account, does it?
No, it does not.
Is there a reason you didn't include that email address there?
So it may have been around that time. It was the end of 2013.
So now it's the end of 2013.
It was, like I said, around that time, end of 2013, beginning of 2014.
Okay, well, is the end of 2013 in your mind on or after August 16 of 2013?
Yeah.
Is that the reason you didn't put miconstruct in your answer?
I don't recall. I really don't recall.
Okay. When you prepared the answers reflected in Exhibit L, did you read the CD or DVD that I included with my clients' special interrogatories?
I really don't remember.
Do you recall looking at any CD or DVD from my office in this case?
I don't remember.
You handed me a few moments ago a green folder that contains a whole bunch of emails concerning Coastal Commission business, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Your answer on page 3 states that you're not aware of any such emails. You see that? Read special interrogatory number 3 and then your response on page 3.
Okay.
So your response says that you're not aware of any email messages that were not provided to staff, right?
That is what it says here, yes.
Well, are the emails that you gave me this morning emails that you've given to staff?
Some are.
But some aren't, correct?
That is correct.
So why did you sign a document under penalty of perjury saying you're not aware of any emails that weren't given to staff, but this morning you handed me some emails that weren't given to staff?
I collected all emails related to ex partes, so the emails that you have there in an abundance of caution are basically scheduling of meetings or phone calls or things like that. But all ex partes themselves and any actual ex parte communications were provided already.
Why did you not think to be abundantly cautious in January of this year when you signed the verification page to Exhibit L?
Objection assumes facts. Argumentative mischaracterizes the testimony.
I don't remember.
You would agree that you were aware before today of email communications concerning ex parte communications that weren't given to staff, right?
Was I aware of email communications?
Concerning ex parte communicate. You gave me email messages today concerning ex parte communications that have not been given to Coastal Commission staff, correct?
Assumes facts.
Well, he just testified to it. Not assuming facts, they're his facts.
I think it mischaracterized the testimony, but the record can speak for itself.
Well, tell me, are there emails in that folder that you gave me a few moments ago that you have not provided to staff before?
Yes.
And are those emails that weren't provided to staff before emails that concern ex parte communications?
Yes.
And they're from an email account that you had access to in January of this year, correct?
Yes.
So is there a reason that you thought to be abundantly cautious for today, but you didn't think to be abundantly cautious when you signed the verification form in January of 2017?
I didn't think of those.
I still think it assumes facts, particularly since his testimony could be referring, for example, to emails that he did not provide, but which were contained on the CD. So I think you're asking questions that are deviating from the interrogatory and trying to compare apples and oranges.
You can state your objection without coaching the witness, counsel. What's your objection?
My objection is that your questions are assuming facts not testified to. They're mischaracterizing the record, and they are just generically unfair because they are inconsistent with the things that you're trying to compare.
You didn't. Have you given these emails, the ones you gave me today, have you given them to anybody before today?
That would be an attorney-client.
No, I didn't ask you who you gave them to. I want to know whether you gave them to anybody.
Yes.
Okay. Did you give them to your lawyer?
Well, don't testify about communications.
Yeah.
You testified earlier that you didn't look at a CD or a DVD from my office, right?
I think I said I don't recall.
Okay. A few minutes on, do you recall seeing the CD or the DVD?
I don't remember.
No. You don't recall sitting down and comparing anything on a CD or DVD to what you produced today, do you?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Is it okay if I take a 2-minute bathroom break?
Sure, let's go off the record.
We're off the record. The time is 11:16 a.m.
Right back.
Okay.
We're back on record. The time is 11:22 a.m.
Mr. Vargas, I understand that you want to change some of your testimony. What change did you want to make?
I just want to clarify that I don't remember what my process was of submitting all of this information last year. I'm submitting this as a response to your request that you had recently sent. I forgot what it's called, the second so-and-so request, so I'm doing that. I just don't remember if those documents, I don't remember the process. So I was thorough when I did it, I'm sure, but I just I don't recall what process I used last year and whether those, so I'm just, I guess, clarifying that I don't remember what I did last year. I'm just trying. I brought these emails printed because you asked for it in the current, whatever it's called, second deposition notice. So that's what I'm bringing today.
The documents you brought today, you're not changing your testimony from before when you said that the documents you brought today include ex parte related emails that have not been sent to coastal staff, correct? You're not changing that testimony, are you?
I don't remember. I remember doing a search. Well, I remember, well, it's not that I remember or don't remember. I don't remember what the process was last year, but if we went through this process, then I'm sure that we collected all of the information. That's all I remember.
Well, I'll just take the first document in this folder that you gave me today.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Ann Blemker. It says, to Ann Blemker, Blemker.
Mm-hmm.
It's CC'd to Susan McCabe, and it says, good evening, commissioners. And it was sent to mark at mark-vargas.com.
Yes.
Okay? Did you send this to the coastal staff?
I don't remember.
You don't recall whether you sent this to coastal staff?
No, I don't remember.
You're asking a year ago.
Ever?
I don't remember, no.
And you don't have an email that would show the message being forwarded to coastal staff, right?
I don't remember.
Well, did you look through all of your email, sir, in response to today's deposition?
Yes, I did.
Did you look through all your email in response to the interrogatory earlier this year?
I don't remember.
Do you have memory problems?
No.
Okay. Because see, I looked through the emails during the break, and there's a whole bunch of emails that appear never to have been sent to Coastal Commission staff. So I just want to know factually what's true. Are there any emails in the stack you gave me today that have not been sent to coastal staff?
I don't remember.
When did you stop using your miconstruct.com account?
It was sometime, like I said, late 2013, early 2014.
You're sure?
Am I sure it was in that range?
Yes.
I more or less, that's when it was, yeah.
Okay. So here's an email that was in the stack that you handed me.
Mm-hmm.
It's dated April 14th of 2015
Mm-hmm.
from Susan McCabe to Mark Vargas at miconstruct.com. Do I have the date right? April of 2015?
You do?
Do I have the email address right?
You do?
How'd you manage to get that email today?
It was probably forwarded to my mark at mark-vargas.com email address.
But in order for it to have been forwarded, you would have had to have access to it after late 2013 or early 2014, right?
No, I don't have access to it.
Well, I didn't ask whether you have access right now, but if there's an email dated April of 2015 to your miconstruct.com email address, at some time on or after April 14 of 2015, you would have had to have access to that account in order to forward it to mark-vargas.com, right?
No.
Well, how would you get it forwarded to you if it was sent to miconstruct.com?
It's automatically forwarded. I didn't do that.
Well, can you tell me where the automatic forward indication is on the email?
I don't see it.
You have any idea why there's no automatic forward indication on an email that's automatically forwarded?
Because Gmail doesn't write it down on their email.
Well, what about the miconstruct.com account?
That was a Gmail account.
Is miconstruct.com still in use today?
No.
So if I email to
Well,
miconstruct.com right now, you won't get an email?
it may be in use, but I don't have control of it.
Well, who does?
I don't know.
Well, it was controlled by Gmail before, right?
No.
Who controlled it before?
The web administrator,
For what company?
miconstruct.com.
Who is miconstruct?
miconstruct is an email address. It's a domain.
Well, did you own it?
I did.
But you no longer own it?
That's correct.
You gave it up
I don't
when?
control it. I don't have it. Again, in 2013, 2014.
And you just don't have the slightest idea how an email to your miconstruct.com account in April of 2015 would end up in your mark-vargas.com email box.
I do.
Oh, so what is that explanation?
I set it to automatically forward way back when, and I don't have control of that account anymore.
I see. So if something goes to that account and it doesn't get forwarded, then you would know about that, right?
No.
Well, how do you know when the forwarding stopped?
Well, I don't know if it has stopped. I still get it automatically forwarded. I don't have control.
When's the last miconstruct.com email you got?
I have no idea. I don't look.
See, I just emailed mvargas at miconstruct.com on my iPhone and it came back as undeliverable. You just don't have the slightest idea when that would have happened, huh? When you would have lost control of the forwarding features.
I don't.
Do you know what perjury is?
I do.
What's your understanding of perjury?
It's lying under oath.
Okay. You understand that it's a crime?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to show you an exhibit we'll mark with the letter M. Letter M is my client's form interrogatories set 2 to Mark Vargas. Do you recognize that document, sir?
I don't recall it.
Okay. I'll show you an exhibit marked letter N. It is defendant Mark Vargas's responses to plaintiff's form interrogatories set 2. Do you recognize that document, sir?
I don't recall it.
Take a look at the 4th page that says verification at the top and tell me whether that's your signature.
It appears to be yes.
Did you read Exhibit N before you signed the verification page?
I don't recall.
Take a look at Exhibit N and tell me whether there's anything in there that's false.
Well, it's hard to say
Why is it hard to say?
because this references another document. For example, RFAs 27, line 18, RFAs 27 through 30 assume that the responding party. I don't know what RFAs 27 to 30 are. Right?
Okay. I'm going to show you an exhibit marked with the letter O. Letter O is defendant Mark Vargas's amended responses to plaintiff's form interrogatories set number 2. You recognize that document?
I don't remember it.
Take a look at page 4, which says verification at the top. Is that your signature on the page?
It appears to be.
Did you read Exhibit O before you signed the verification page?
I don't recall. I don't recall this document.
You don't even recall reading it?
We're on Exhibit O of things that you've sent us, so no, I don't recall this particular
Well,
document. No.
take your time and look at it. I want to know
Yeah.
whether you recall seeing it before.
I'll take my time, but I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall.
Nothing in the document looks familiar to you?
To be quite frank with you, it looks similar to the last document and several of the other documents,
Well,
so I don't recall.
Exhibit O is your amended response to plaintiff's form interrogatory set 2.
Right.
So I can understand why it looks the same to you, but you just don't recall ever seeing it before, huh?
I don't recall having reviewed this. No.
Are you in the habit of signing pieces of paper that are under penalty of perjury without reviewing the pages that precede it?
No.
Okay. I'll show you an exhibit marked with the letter P. It is defendant Mark Vargas' second amended responses to plaintiff's form interrogatory set 2. Recognize that document.
I don't.
Do you see your signature on page 4 where it says verification?
I do.
Do you see that the date appears to be September 28th, roughly 34 days ago? You see that?
I do.
But you just don't recall reading any of Exhibit P before today?
I don't recall. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me show you Exhibit R. I'm sorry, Exhibit Q. Exhibit Q is my client's requests for admission as to truth of facts and genuineness of documents set 2 to Mark Vargas. Do you recognize Exhibit Q, sir?
I don't.
Okay, take a look at. We're going to take a look at page 1 of 3. That's after the cover sheet. Do you know who Sarawan is?
I do.
You ever had any ex parte communications with Sarawan?
I have.
How many?
I don't remember how many.
Approximately.
I couldn't even, I'm not sure.
More or less than 500?
Less than 500?
Right? Less than
Yeah.
100?
Definitely.
Less than 50?
Probably.
Okay. Less than 25?
Probably.
Okay. Who is Sarawan?
Sarah Wan is a ex coastal commissioner and now advocate for coastal issues.
Okay. Do you know who Susan McCabe is?
I do.
Do you know that Susan McCabe has a company called McCabe and Company, Inc.?
I do.
Okay. Have you ever had any ex parte communications with her or her company?
I have.
On how many occasions?
I don't recall specifically how many.
More or less than 500?
Less than 500?
More or less than 100?
I don't know.
Could be more than 100 though, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
Have you ever had any ex parte communications with Sarawan that you didn't disclose?
Not that I recall.
Have you ever had any ex parte communications with Susan McCabe or her company that you haven't disclosed?
Not that I recall.
Do you know who Donald Schmitz is?
I do.
Do you know that he has a company called Schmitz & Associates?
I didn't know that was the name of his company, but
Okay. Have you ever had any ex parte communications with Donald Schmitz?
I have.
How many?
I'm not sure how many.
More than 500?
Less than 500?
More than 100?
Probably not.
Okay. More than 50?
Probably not. Yeah.
Okay. More than 25?
There I don't know. I don't know.
Somewhere between 25 and 50 sounds reasonable.
Somewhere between 1 and 50.
Okay.
I just don't know.
Have you ever had any ex parte communications with Donald Schmitz that you didn't disclose?
Yes.
How many?
One
When?
that I know of. 3 days ago.
Okay. You just had the ex parte 3 days ago.
What day is it today? Tuesday? On Friday, so 4 days. Yeah.
Oh, you still have time to disclose it, right?
That is correct.
So, other than that one, are there any ex parte communications you've never disclosed?
No.
Okay. Do you know who David Niche is?
I do.
Do you know that he has a company called DB Niche Inc.?
Yes.
Have you ever had any ex parte communications with David Niche or his company?
I have.
How many?
I'm not sure.
More than 500?
No.
More than 100?
Probably not.
More than 50?
Probably not.
More than 25?
There I don't know. Maybe somewhere between 1 and 50. I just don't know for sure.
Okay. Have you ever had any ex parte communications with David or his company that you haven't disclosed?
No. Not that I recall.
You know who Jared Ficker is?
I do.
You ever heard of California Strategies, LLC?
I have.
Do you understand Jared to work for CalStrat?
I do.
You ever had any ex parte communications with Jared or his company?
I believe I have, yes.
How many?
Few. Very
More
few.
than 50?
I'm going to guess less than 10.
I don't want you to guess.
Probably less than 10.
Okay. Have you ever had any ex parte communications with Jared or his company that you haven't disclosed?
Not that I recall.
Do you know who Stanley Lamport is?
I do.
Have you ever heard of Cox, Castle, and Nicholson LLP?
I think I have, yes.
How many ex parte communications have you had with Stanley or someone from Cox Castle?
I don't remember if I had any with somebody other than Lamport from Cox Castle. To be honest, I didn't know he was with Cox Castle. But with Stanley Lamport, few. Again, probably less than 10.
Okay. Have you ever had any ex parte communications with Stanley that you didn't disclose?
No, not that I recall.
Do you know who Andriette Culbertson is?
I do.
You ever had any ex parte communications with her?
I think I have, yeah.
On how many occasions?
I'm probably very few.
Less than 10?
Less than 10, yeah.
Have you ever had any ex parte communications with her that you did not disclose?
Not that I recall.
Okay. If you would turn a few more pages within Exhibit Q, you'll get to some exhibits within Exhibit Q.
Okay.
So you'll come to Exhibit 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's a list of exhibits. We're going to go through each one.
Okay.
So if you turn the page to Exhibit 1 is the Coastal Commission's website where you'll find the roster of commissioners. Have you ever visited that website before?
I have.
Okay. Do you see on Exhibit 1 where you were listed as a commissioner? Take a look at the very first page. on
I
the
do.
right.
There I am. Yes.
Okay. And you've read this website, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So now turn to pages 3 and 4 of this website. At the bottom of 3, it says ex parte communication requirements in all capital letters. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm. I do.
And that carries over onto page 4. Do you see that?
I do.
Have you read that information before today?
I don't recall. On this website?
Yes.
I don't remember.
Why don't you read the information
Okay.
quickly and tell me when you're done?
Hang on. Let me go back to the other page. Okay.
Does the information in the ex parte communication requirements section of this website, does it fit with your understanding of the ex parte rules?
I mean, in general, yes.
Okay, take a look at Exhibit 2. Well, was there something in Exhibit 1's ex parte communication requirements that you think is incorrect?
I've just never seen it before, so you're asking my understanding of ex parte rules, then yeah, in general.
The substance that's there is consistent with what you understood the rules to be before you read it, correct?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay. Was there anything specifically that looks wrong?
I don't know.
Well, is there something that you think looks wrong?
Not necessarily, but I have not memorized the ex parte rules, so I don't know if this is right or wrong.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I'm not asking whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I want to know whether it fits with your understanding of the rules.
I think, yeah, in general, yeah.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 2. It's another version of the roster of commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I see your name in the middle of page 1.
Easier to find now.
Okay.
Yep.
And now if you turn to page 3 of Exhibit 2,
Mm-hmm.
there's another ex parte communication requirements section. Do you see that?
I do.
Do you recall seeing that information before today?
I don't recall looking at it on this website.
Okay. If you read that information, or would you please read it and then let me know when you're done?
Okay. I mean, it looks similar to the last one.
Okay. Do you see anything in there that conflicts with your understanding of the ex parte rules?
So I just don't understand one of the paragraphs, that's all.
Which paragraph don't you understand?
Messages of a non-procedural nature, parentheses, e.g. substantive, should not be left. Oh, I get it. Messages. So like a voicemail message, you mean? Is that what that means? These include telephone, fax. I don't know. So I'm not sure what it's referring to.
Okay. Other than that line, everything else comports with your understanding of the rules?
Yep. In general, yeah, sure.
Okay, take a look at Exhibit 3. It's another version of the website for commissioners.
Yep.
Again, you're now on page 1, but in the lower right-hand corner. Do you see that?
I do.
Do you recognize that page?
I do.
If you turn to pages 4 and 5, you'll see an ex parte communication requirements section. Do you see that?
I do.
Why don't you read that information, and when you're done, let me know.
Okay.
Is what's listed there in the requirements section consistent with your understanding of the ex parte rules?
I mean, it looks like the same language from the previous version, so in general, yes.
Okay. Take a look at Exhibit 4. It's another version of the website for coastal commissioners, and you are, again, lower right-hand corner. Do you see that?
I do.
If you would please turn to page 4. There's an ex parte communication requirements section. Do you see that?
I do.
Recognize that language?
It looks similar to everything else we've seen, so I assume it's the same.
Does anything in there conflict with your understanding of the ex parte rules?
In general, no.
Okay. Is there anything in particular that does?
Again, that messages of a non-procedural nature paragraph, I'm not really clear on.
Okay, but other than that, everything looks consistent with what you understand the rules to be?
Generally speaking, yes.
Okay, now
Yeah.
if you would turn to Exhibit 5, another version of the Coastal Commissioner website. You're at the upper right-hand corner of page 2. Do you see that?
I do. I do.
Do you recognize that website?
I do.
Okay. If you now turn to page 5 and page 6, you'll see an ex parte communication requirements section. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Let me know when you've had a chance to read that section.
Okay.
Does everything there look consistent with your understanding of the ex parte rules?
It looks just like the other ones. So again, in general, aside from that paragraph about messages of a non-procedural nature,
Okay.
in general, yes.
Okay, take a look at Exhibit 6. We're still within Exhibit Q. Exhibit 6 to Exhibit Q is an August 4, 2016 memo from John Ainsworth and Chris Peterson to the Coastal Commissioners. Do you recognize Exhibit 6, sir?
I have a vague recollection of it, but I don't remember.
Okay.
I remember receiving something, but I don't remember if it was this.
Okay, let's go off the record. He needs to change the tape.
Here, here marks the end of tape number 1 of the video deposition of Mark Vargas, and we're off the record at 11:50 a.m.